Why can't I remember words? Why do I have such a hard time remembering all the words that I'm trying to remember? You ever asked yourself that question? Well, have you ever opened up a dictionary, looked at a word, there it is, maybe it's highlighted in yellow, maybe you've circled it with a big red pen, and you look at that word and you go, I've looked that up 100 times. Why can't I remember it? I think we've all had that experience. Well, it was the Romans, reportedly, that coined the phrase, repetition is the mother of retention. Obviously, that's not true. Because if you've looked at a word 100 times, if you've repeated the act of opening a dictionary, looking at that word, and using it in a sentence, and cannot remember it, then obviously repetition is not the mother of retention. Now we're going to visit that subject a little bit later in another video clip. Right now we're going to address the question, why can't we remember those words? Well, we've used them. The words are in our short-term memory, but they've never migrated into our long-term memory. Why not? How do we get them from here over to here? Well, the secret to that lies in linking. That is, linking new words that we're trying to learn to old words that are already in our long-term memory. Well, how do we do that? Well, first, let's use an illustration. If you're about my age, you'll easily and readily remember Jacqueline Kennedy. She remarried, we might say, an older Greek gentleman, Aristotle Onassis, who was significantly older than she was. So, young new woman marries old man. They get married, and they move into their mansion and live happily ever after. So, new with old. Link them together. How do we do that with language? Well, it's pretty simple. We take a new word, something we're trying to learn, we link it, marry it to an old word. That is, we reach deeply into our long-term memory, we pull out a word that's embedded there, that's etched like as with a chisel into granite, into our brain. We reach into there, we pull out an old word, we take that new word that we're trying to learn, we link them together in a short sentence or phrase, bind them together, and guess what happens? The new word, now married to an old word, moves into our long-term memory. What's the point? Don't ever memorize lists of words. Don't memorize words as isolated units. We must link them to something that we already know. So often we buy grammar books, we enroll in a school, we open the book, and there's 40 or 50 words they want us to remember, sometimes by tomorrow or by next week. Not a good way to learn. Link that word. Take that new word, put it into a short phrase which expresses a complete thought or a short sentence, and you'll link it to something you'll know. You'll link it to 2 or 3 words that you already know, and it will move or migrate from short-term memory over into your long-term memory.